Greetings, friends. Let's travel back to April 10th, 1912. This was the day the RMS Titanic, the world's largest and most luxurious ship of its time, set out on its first ever voyage. It was sailing from Southampton, England, to New York, carrying a mix of passengers from famous industrialists and actors to immigrants seeking a new life in America. Commanding this magnificent vessel was the 62-year-old senior captain, Edward John Smith. There was incredible excitement surrounding the ship. It was on its size, almost 270 meters long and over 53 meters high. It was the sheer luxury inside that was Owens. It cost $7.5 million to build, which is like $400 million today. The facilities could rival a five-star hotel. Stained glass, ornate wood paneling, grand staircases, a heated swimming pool, a Turkish bath, a gym for restaurants, and even a library. Most importantly, its safety features were so advanced that the Titanic was believed to be unsinkable. The vice president of the company that built it, White Star Line, publicly declared it. But just 2 days into its voyage, on April 12th, the first ice warnings started coming in. The Atlantic Ocean was dotted with icebergs, posing a threat to the ship. Now, these warnings aren't unusual. Ships constantly communicate via radio, alerting each other to dangers. After the first warnings, the Titanic did change its course slightly, but it never slowed down. It continued at a brisk 40 kilometers per hour. 2 days later, on April 14th, 7 more ice warnings were received, but Captain Smith and his crew ignored them, maintaining their speed. As night fell on the 14th, the situation grew more dangerous. The moon wasn't out, so there was no moonlight, and visibility was extremely low. High up in the crow's nest, the lookout point, a man named Frederick Fleet was on watch. He was battling freezing winds that made his eyes water, making it hard to see. At 11:39 p.m., he spotted a massive iceberg directly ahead. He rang the warning bell 3 times and frantically called the bridge, screaming about the iceberg. First Officer William Murdoch immediately ordered the engine room to turn the ship left. But it was too late. Just 1 minute later, at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic collided with the iceberg. The iceberg wasn't small. It was as big as a football field and weighed an estimated 1.5 million tons. For about 10 seconds, the ship's right side grazed against the ice, creating a huge gash and punching holes in the hull. You might wonder how ice can tear through metal. Well, think about a car crashing into a massive tree. The sheer weight and size of the iceberg inflicted catastrophic damage. A few moments later, Captain Smith and the ship's architect, Thomas Andrews, rushed to assess the damage. What they saw left them in shock. The unsinkable ship was going to sink. So, why did the unsinkable ship fail? It had 2 main safety features. First, a double-bottomed hull, which meant 2 layers of steel. Second, the hull was divided into 16 watertight compartments. The ship could stay afloat even if 4 of these compartments flooded. But the iceberg hit the side of the ship, where there was only a single layer, making the double bottom useless. And the impact was so severe that it breached 6 of the watertight compartments, to more than the ship could handle. Just 20 minutes after the collision, at midnight, Captain Smith ordered his crew to send distress calls. A hero of this story is senior radio operator Jack Phillips, who tirelessly sent signal after signal. Finally, at 12:20 a.m., a nearby seat, the RMS Carpathia, picked up the call. They immediately changed course to help, but there was a problem. The Carpathia was still 107 kilometers away. Even at top speed, it would take them 3.5 hours to arrive. Meanwhile, the crew fired flares into the sky, hoping another ship would see them. Captain Smith ordered an evacuation, with women and children first. But most passengers weren't scared. They had been told the ship was unsinkable. So, when the first lifeboat was lowered, it left half empty. It had space for 65 people, but only 20 had boarded. As time passed, the ship began to tilt forward. Slowly, panic set in. By 1 a.m., the front of the ship was underwater, and the rear propellers were lifted into the air. Chaos erupted. People fought for spots on the lifeboats, but there was a critical shortage. The ship only had 20 lifeboats, enough for about 1,200 people. but there were over 2,200 on board. At 2:05 a.m., the last lifeboat was lowered, leaving 1,500 people stranded. While some fought desperately, others accepted their fate. Around 2:20 a.m., eyewitnesses say the ship broke in two and then slipped beneath the waves. The Unsinkable ship was gone in under 3 hours. The 1,500 people left behind either went down with the ship or perished in the freezing -2 degrees Celsius water from hypothermia. Captain Smith was said to have remained at the helm until the very end. The Carpathia arrived an hour too late. But here's a shocking fact that came out later. There was another ship, the SS Californian, just 37 kilometers away. It was the Californian that had sent the final ice warning to the Titanic. But at 11:15 p.m., their radio operator had switched off the radio for the night. They saw the Titanic's distress flares, but their captain, Stanley Lord, dismissed them as rich people having a party. Had he acted, countless lives could have been saved. But one man wasn't solely to blame. The lack of lifeboats was a huge failure. The captain canceled a safety drill on the very day of the disaster. And there's a theory that the chairman of the White Star Line, J. Brucey's, pressured the captain to maintain high speed to set a new record. This one disaster forever changed the shipping industry. New safety regulations were created, like the International Ice Patrol, to track icebergs, and a rule requiring enough lifeboats for every single person on board. It took over 70 years to find the Titanic's wreckage. In 1985, it was discovered 3.8 kilometers deep in the ocean, in two pieces, 600 meters apart. Today, bacteria are slowly eating away at the metal, and it's predicted to completely disintegrate by 2030. Even after more than a century, the story of the Titanic continues to captivate us. It's a powerful reminder of human ambition, tragedy, and the lessons we must never forget. Thanks for watching. If you found this story interesting, please like and subscribe for more.